What is up, Warhawks Army? Is the Ironman here, coming at you with my first solo review. This time it's going to be of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Went and saw it twice, once by myself, once with the wife, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it and whether or not I'd recommend you guys going and seeing it. Okay, so the first thing that I need to talk about is the characters. There is Poe Dameron, the new characters. We all know who the old ones are. Poe Dameron, Finn is all we know him by. Rey, again, which is all we know her by. Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren. Wow, I already said Kylo Ren. General Hux and Captain Phasma, which, for those of you that aren't aware, is actually a girl. So we start off. Okay, fair warning before I get into this review. Spoiler alert. So we start off on the planet Jakku, however you want to pronounce it. They pronounce it all kinds of ways in the movie. We find out that Wedge Antilles has a part of a map. We don't find that out until later, but has a map to Luke Skywalker, who has been missing recently. More on that later. So he gives it to Poe Dameron, who is apparently the best pilot in the Resistance against the First Order. Though why they need a resistance when when the First Order is just the Imperial Remnant and they have the New Republic, I don't know, but so Jakku gets attacked by the First Order, led by Kylo Ren, and basically Poe Wedge Antilles gives what the thing containing the map to BB-8, the little ball droid thing, and then has him go with Poe. And so as he's getting ready to leave until he sees Kylo Ren cut down Wedge Antilles. Wedge Antilles knows who Kylo Ren is, knows who he was before he became Kylo Ren. Again, more on that later. So then we see a stormtrooper who's helping a wounded comrade get blood smeared on his helmet because the guy is dying, and that's the first we see of Finn, because you can always tell it's Finn because he's kind of just in the background, just like at first. And then so Poe tries to shoot at Kylo Ren, but has the blast blocked. Yeah, apparently Kylo Ren can block the blaster bolts. Badass. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to think. So then the First Order takes Poe to the new Star Destroyer. I say new because it's a new model and everything. And Finn, FN 2187, as he is called by the First Order. Sorry about that. Helps him escape in a TIE fighter. They get attacked. They get chased by the First Order, obviously, and get shot down. They crash land on Jakku because they were headed back there anyway, because they forgot, because BB-8 was left on the planet. BB-8, meanwhile, has encountered Rey, who is a scavenger on Jakku, who was left there by her family, and So Kylo Ren had forced the information that the map to Skywalker was left in the BB-8 droid. So now the First Order's looking for the droid, the Resistance is looking for the droid, everyone's looking for the droid, and the guy that is buying all of the salvage from Rey sees the droid and offers her basically a whole lot of food for the droid because for some reason he never explains it to her, but we find out immediately after she tells him it's not for sale. He actually wants the droid, but it's not made clear if he wants it because he wants to give it to the Resistance or if he wants to give it to the First Order. Um, so he tell the First Order finds out that they found the droid, and they send in a bunch of bombers to basically wipe everybody out. And um, so Finn meets up with Rey, who initially accuses him of being a thief because because he's wearing Poe's jacket, and BB-8 recognizes the jacket and tells Rey, who inexplicably can understand the droid, that he stole it. So Finn convinces Rey that he's with the Resistance, and they run off to try to evade the bombers. As they're running, Rey's headed toward a ship, and Finn points to one off screen and he goes, "What about that ship?" And she goes, "That one's garbage." Boom! The ship she was pointing at gets destroyed. She goes, "The garbage will do." Uh, Hang on, I'm gonna try to get in the light here so you guys can actually see me. That'll have to do. So the camera pans over and we find out that the garbage is the Millennium Falcon. So they take off. Han and Chewie are nowhere to be found, and they shoot down a bunch of TIE fighters and somehow manage to lose the Star Destroyer that sent them because reasons. As they're traveling through space trying to find the Resistance base because Rey for some reason automatically believes Finn when he says he's with the Resistance, even though she's never met him. Finn tells BB-8 the truth, and BB-8 vouches for him and tells Rey where the base is. And along the way, first they have to fix a problem with the ship. The motivator is blown or something like that, and then they get dragged into a bigger ship, which, for obvious reasons, Finn automatically assumes is the First Order. And then, so they hide in the little, wherever it is Han and Luke and Chewie hid in A New Hope to hide from the stormtroopers that went in to find them. And then we find out it's not the First Order, it's Han and Chewie. Han finds Rey and Finn and BB-8, and they basically tell them who they are. Long story short, they wind up taking the Falcon after a big fight between two gangs. Some Rathtars get loose. I have no idea what a Rathtar is. And they get to the Han takes them to a different planet to his old friend Maz. I forget her last name, but Maz is what everyone calls her. And Then that's when we find out who Kylo Ren really is. He is Han Solo's son. Oh, again, if you're just now, if you didn't pay attention the first time, spoiler alert, obviously. Supreme Leader Snoke, who basically took over for Emperor Palpatine, tells Kylo Ren that the droid is in the hands of his father now, and he says he means nothing to him, and basically goes to find them. We also find out that Luke, the reason he disappeared is because he was trying to recreate the Jedi Order, but one student turned against him, Kylo Ren obviously, and wiped it all out. On the other planet, I don't remember its name, Finn reveals to Rey who he really is after he tries to get transportation off of the planet and as far away from the First Order as he can, and she tries to convince Rey to come with him. Rey says no and wanders off after she hears a bunch of screaming and has a vision. It's for some reason TV Tropes seems to think the vision she gets implies that she was left on Jakku by Kylo Ren and not her family. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that in a little bit. So basically, while they're on the other planet, the First Order is getting ready to fire this gigantic weapon. I mean, it's bigger than the Death Star. It looks exactly like the Death Star, but it's like, I'll put it this way: the damn thing makes the first Death Star look like a baseball by comparison. It's like, this is the first Death Star. This is freaking Star Killer Base. I'm like, okay. So, naturally, the plot shifts to taking out the base because they just destroyed the capital of the New Republic and the fleet along with it. And so, Maz tries to get Rey to take the Luke's original lightsaber, which, of course, belonged to Anakin and was lost during Cloud City. How she got this is never actually explained. Excuse me. And, so we find, but Rey says she's never going near that thing again, so instead she gives it to Finn. Why, when he never showed any Force potential at all, is beyond me. And then the First Order attacks the planet. The First Order attacks the planet. Finn, Han, and Chewie are taken, are basically, captured. And then the Resistance shows up. They wipe out all the TIE fighters. Kylo Ren gets Rey and leaves the planet because he uses the Force. He's able to basically pull things from your mind with the Force, and he finds out that she's seen the map to Luke, and so therefore she can tell them where it is, or she doesn't need to. And so they escape, or he gets out of there, and then Leia shows up. Han tells Leia that he saw their son, which confirms that they got married and and had a kid, at least one. I'll get to that later. And Leia they basically plan an attack on Starkiller Base to basically blow it up and get, or they don't say blow it up, they say destabilize it, but it's another Death Star. You know what they're going to do. And she tells him, if you see our son, bring him home. Han says, well, if Luke couldn't get to him, what can I do? Leia says, Luke is a Jedi. You're his father. Which is basically saying, yeah, Luke's his uncle, Luke is a Jedi, but you're his father. If he's going to listen to anybody, it's going to be you. And so, so we get this whole, the whole starships going into space to go after the big giant thing. And then we have a strike. It's basically a mix of A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, because they have to do a ground assault at the same time as attacking the thing from above. Because they have shields, and they have to take out the shields protecting the thing that powers the thing. So they have to take out the shields and then destroy the thing itself. They get there, and of course, Kylo Ren is there. They start planting the charges, and Han Solo confronts his son. Now, in the initial expanded universe, which is now referred to as Star Wars Legends, Han Solo's oldest Han and Leia had 3 children. They had Jason and Jaina, which were twins, and they had Anakin Solo, which was obviously named after his grandfather. Han Solo's son in this movie is named Ben. Ben is the name of Luke's son in the books, which basically makes him a composite character. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically taking elements of different characters and mashing them together into one character. They probably did this to make it a little easier, but I'll get to that in a minute. And so basically, Han tries to talk him into coming home, but of course it doesn't work. That you didn't need spoilers for. As soon as you see the movie, you know what's going to happen. As soon as you see how he sets it up, you know what's going to happen. My wife could feel it coming. And so he kills Han. Chewie shoots him, and he runs off. Finn and Rey chase after him, they're trying to get out of the place before the Resistance blows up the planet, and they just so happen to run into Kylo Ren. They run into Ben along the way. Finn, who is the one with the lightsaber, initially takes it up and starts dueling with Kylo Ren, but he's clearly outmatched because, again, he has no Force training. The only reason he even remotely stands a chance is because Kylo Ren is injured. People complain, well, how did they stand a chance against somebody who's completely trained and all this and all that? He's injured. He's not entirely focusing on the battle because he's hurt. He's bleeding. You can see he's going like this, trying to fight through the pain. So he's not completely focused on the fight. So obviously they can't. Obviously that's why they're able to hold their own without any training. Basically, apparently now you can cut someone up with a lightsaber and not automatically kill them, because Kylo slices Finn's back open, which initially causes people to think he killed him. And a badass moment, Ben tells Finn that the lightsaber he's holding, which is Anakin Skywalker's, or what was Anakin's initially, and then was Luke's. So essentially, he's right in saying that the lightsaber belongs to him because it's his family. It's in his family. And to which Finn replies, "Come and get it." Which, sorry, I personally thought that was badass. So then after that, Finn drops the lightsaber, and, Kylo Ren's trying to use the Force to summon it to grab it. It comes out of the snow. The planet that Starkiller Base is a ice planet, but flies right past him to Rey, who activates it and takes up the fight. And again, the planet's falling apart around them, and so they're over the edge, and Ben tells her, "You need a teacher. I can show you the ways of the Force." And Rey's like, "Wait a minute." Because earlier in the movie, Maz had told her to close her eyes and let the Force guide her. So essentially, that's what she does. She closes her eyes, takes a minute, and then she basically wins the fight. And so, as the planet is falling apart, Supreme Leader Snoke tells General Hux to bring Kylo to him and says it's time to complete his training. So they run off. Everybody escapes. It's not shown how everybody escapes, but several people escape. Kylo, General Hux. I don't know if Phasma made it because they never actually show it. But Finn is still alive. BB-8, Chewie, all of them escape as the planet explodes and creates a new sun. The thing was powered by the sun. And so they get back. R2-D2 is there because he's been kind of inactive since Luke disappeared. And as soon as they get back and BB-8 approaches R2-D2 again, R2-D2 activates, and turns out he has the rest of the map to Luke. So, they put the two together and they find out where he is. Finn is left at the Resistance base. Rey takes off with Chewie because earlier Han had offered her a job on it, but now since Han isn't around anymore, then Rey basically takes over for him. And basically they follow the map, and literally the last scene of the movie is Rey presenting the old lightsaber to Luke, while Luke just looks at her. And that's literally how the movie ends. Okay, so a couple of things. The reason that they made Kylo Ren a composite character is because in the expanded universe, sorry, it got a little, there were just too many characters. You had Ben, you had Jason, you had Anakin. Anakin died. Jason turned to the dark side. Ben was kind of clueless to the whole thing. Jaina was the sword of the Jedi. It was all just so confusing. So I think the reason that they put it all together is because the reason they made Ben and Jason one person is because it would be too confusing not to. Now Rey, we never find out much about Rey. We never find out much about Finn, because all we know about him is he was a stormtrooper, and the First Order has apparently been raising stormtroopers from childhood to be bad. But Finn says himself, his first battle, he couldn't do it. J.J. Abrams said that there's a reason we don't know who they are. And I have my own I don't know about Finn, but I have my own theory about Rey. I think what they did was they made her the sequel trilogy's version of Jaina. Basically, still a member of the Skywalker family, but instead of making her the twin sister, they made her Luke's daughter. that way Luke still has a family. Luke still has a child, but and they still have that dynamic of, she's the only one who can defeat who can defeat him, but instead of being brother and sister, twins, they made her Luke's daughter, to where, basically it's a show. It's a showdown of Skywalker and Skywalker. It's basically what it's supposed to be. All in all, I personally enjoyed this movie. It was a really good movie, and I see it as a worthy successor to A New Hope, to the original trilogy. There are some people who disagree with that. That's fine, but it's more a matter of preference, really, is what it is. And I'm really looking forward to where the trilogy goes from here. Were there some things that could have been left out and revealed later on? Yes, but ultimately, I think it did really good. Overall, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. And that's because I think it was really good. Do you disagree? Tell me about it in the comments. Also, leave a like and tell me what you would like to see me review next. You can tell me what you would like to see me personally review by myself, or you can tell me what you'd like me and the Juggernaut to review. We already did our review, one review together, and it was of Dragon Ball Z Revival of F. I can leave a link in the description below if you want to see that. And I will see you guys next time.